even what is impermissible for you to do. Like for example, the impermissibility of a man having a relationship with his wife in the daylight hours of Ramadan. Impermissible if an individual is fasting. An individual, obligatory upon him to have this type of knowledge. And likewise, for Hajj, that an individual realizes and understands that Allah has obligated upon him Hajj at least once in his lifetime. At least once in his lifetime. As soon as he is able to do so, and he has the financial means, and the path has been made clear for him, then it is obligatory upon him to perform the Hajj. So, these types of affairs fulfill for the person his worship in the correct manner. So the learning of this knowledge is obligatory upon every single individual. It is obligatory by way of what is known as Fardul Ain. That it is obligatory upon every single individual, so long as he has reached the age of puberty, or that period in his life where these types of affairs become obligatory upon him. So the learning of this knowledge, ya ikhwan, no one is excused for being ignorant of it. As for the second type of knowledge, and we'll finish upon that, inshallah, for today, is that type of knowledge which is an increase upon that which we have stated. Which is an increase upon that which is an obligation upon you. And this study of is the rest of the regulations of the Sharia, such as, for example, the mu'amalat, or the social dealings, the legacies and the inheritance, or those affairs of mirath and other than that. And likewise the rules and regulations of how to perform nikah, and how a talaq is accepted, and so on and so forth. Then, and likewise, for example, the knowledge of the compensations and the judgments upon the people. For example, when if a crime was to be committed, then what is the ruling regarding that crime, and so on and so forth. Then these are the affairs that are known as Fardul Kifaya, i.e., that if they are established sufficiently by some of the Muslims, then the sin of not knowing is lifted from the rest of the Muslims. So therefore it is obligatory that it is obligatory upon a group of Muslims, and those group of Muslims will suffice the rest of the Muslims, because they will be able to spread that type of knowledge amongst the generality of the people. So knowing the intricacies of the knowledge of hadith, and the knowledge of inheritance, and the knowledge of usul al-fiqh, and the rest of the affairs, then this is important for the Muslims to know by way of obligation, by way of kifaya. That a group of the Muslims should know this, and Shaykh al-Fawzan makes a point. However, if everyone was to leave this knowledge, which is more than that which is an obligation upon you, if everybody was to leave it, then all of them would be sinful. So busying oneself in seeking this knowledge is more virtuous, and it is better than busying oneself with the nawafil acts of worship. It is better than the nafil salah, or the nawafil salawat. It is better than the sadaqah that is given. It is better than the hajj that is on top of the obligatory hajj. And it is better than praying in the middle of the night. The seeking of this type of knowledge, the supererogatory knowledge for which a person strives through the day and through the night, and he sits in the durus. It is better that he would sit in a dars and he would seek the knowledge of the deen of Allah than the nafil prayer. It is better, as Shaykh al-Fawzan mentions, this type of seeking of knowledge than to perform the supererogatory hajj. It is better than the supererogatory umrah. It is better than praying in the depths of the night, the seeking of knowledge in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something that the Salaf have spoken about extensively. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask Him and we seek from Him that He makes us from those individuals who give importance to knowledge, and that there is something that is placed in our hearts, and that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to place in our hearts that thirst and that hunger for seeking knowledge. Because if we in this country do not seek knowledge, because it's only the Salafiyin, ya ikhwan. It is only the Salafiyun, the Salafis in this country and in the lands of the West that carry the deen of Allah, that carry the sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam holistically. Only the Salafiyun. It is not Ahlul Bid'ah. It is not Jamaatul Tabligh. It is not Ikhwan al-Muflisin. It is not any of these groups and parties and these ahzab. It is only the Salafis in the Gharb that carry the sunnah of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a complete and holistic manner. Whether it be in the aqidah, whether it be in the manhaj, whether it be in the hadith, whether it be in the usul al-fiqh, whether it be in qawaid fiqhiyya, whether it be in fatawa, whether it be in the knowledge of the prayer and the knowledge of the zakat and the knowledge of the fasting and the knowledge of the hajj, it is only the Salafis that carry it in a holistic, complete form. So if we in the West, living in Europe, or living in America, or in any of the other lands, from the Western lands or from the lands where there are no ulama present, then it is only the Salafis who are carrying this knowledge. So if you were to give it up, then who is going to carry it? If you give up the seeking of this knowledge, then who is the one who is going to take it to your children? Who is the one who is going to teach your children this type of knowledge if you give up this knowledge? And who is the one in the Western lands where there are now millions and millions and millions of Muslims living? It is not like it was 40, 50 years ago. Now in the lands of the West, whether it be Britain, where there are over or close to 2 million Muslims, whether it be France, close to 4 million Muslims, whether it be in America, where there are several million Muslims, this affair of the guidance of the Muslimun in the West now, this is no small matter. And that is why the likes of Sheikh Ubaid and the likes of the Kibar ulama, the likes of Sheikh Al-Fawzan and other than them, that it is extremely important that when the affairs of difficulty occur in the West, that we take it back to those grey-bearded ulama. That we take it back and we take our affairs back to those grey-bearded elders from amongst the ulama who have spent decades, if not over half a century, in the seeking of knowledge, and more than that in the spreading of knowledge. So it is important that we ourselves, that we seek knowledge, so that the knowledge of Salafiyah and the Sunnah does not die out in the West. So there are always people carrying this knowledge amongst the Salafiyun, because if you do not carry, you open the door for the Mubtadi'ah. If you do not carry this knowledge, and you do not pass on this knowledge, and you do not act upon this knowledge, and you do not have patience upon this knowledge, and you do not carry this to the next generation, then you are leaving the door open for the likes of Jamaatul Tabligh with their innovations, and the likes of the people of Sufism, and the grave worshippers, and those who call upon the awliya, and call upon the malaika, and those who call upon the dead in their graves. You are leaving the door open for them to spread their bid'ah and to spread their innovation. So strive, ya ikhwan, in the pursuit of seeking knowledge, and do not belittle it. Do not say to yourself, well, I'm too busy, that I can't be bothered, I have to spend time with the wife. No, bring her with you to the durus. Bring her with you. So when you finish work, and you finish work at 5, or you finish work at 6, the durus, they start at 7:30, or they start at 8, or the telelinks with some of the ulama like Sheikh Ubaid and Sheikh Abdullah al-Ghudayan. Then go home, get a snack to eat, and reach the durus. It is better for you. It is better for you so that the deen is preserved, so the sunnah is preserved by way of you. And it is passed on by you to your children. So it is not lost, ya ikhwan, neither here and nor anywhere else in those lands in which we do not have the presence of the ulama like you do, for example, in the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, or in some of the other lands such as Kuwait and other than that, and Yemen and whatever. So ya ikhwan, don't belittle this affair and don't allow it to pass. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who have this hirs and this desire and this raghbah and this ardent desire and zeal in the pursuit of knowledge. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.